Well, I'm looking forward to the next match, Pubstars versus High Voltage. We're getting the teams in because that was a quick 3-0 victory, and the team's match time is technically at 6 o'clock, but they are on standby, so we're getting those invites coming in. So we do thank you for your patience before we get this next battle underway. Pubstars was a team I was looking forward to see how they're going to perform. Unfortunately, they pulled out. Bear Huggers took their place. Bear Huggers, I have to give them credit, joining Season 1 with almost zero preparation, really, but they decided, yes, we'll play. We'll definitely play. Didn't really finish out in the top, more towards the bottom of the top 16 or the 16 players, but they filled the gap that was necessary. And with Pubstars, I haven't been able to speak to them. I wonder if it's a completely new group or different members compared to
just
Season
looking
1.
at it right now, we got Indy, Captain No Pants, and Red Paradise in there. All three of those players we've seen their familiar faces in the WGLNA Season 1. Which tells me that a lot of these teams, even top teams, Nerve, top 8 team in WGLNA, broke up a little bit. You know, they're not the same because Indy, one of the leaders in that team, is now over here on Pubstars.
And that is, some people are surprised by it.
I'm surprised by that.
The thing is, if you take a first-time experience in a sport, you have to see where your weaknesses are because of it's like you don't know the weaknesses in a metal until you actually put it into the fire, and that is how you're able to hone the metal and for it to get stronger and stronger and stronger. It has to be tested. The refiner's fire, and a lot of these teams went through that in Season 1, and they're going to have to separate themselves if need be. Maybe some guys just didn't work well with others, even though they're both very talented. And so, is it surprising to see that many changes? Perhaps, but I'm not surprised that changes did occur.
Yeah, I mean, when we go back to the forging type of analogy, this is, well, a lot of the metal is being broken up and being put into different weapons, and now they're going to have to temper themselves again. You know, and I think because of that, Nerve is going to be a little bit looser in terms of their structure. You know, losing all these really fantastic players, I think that's going to hurt them a little bit.
Which weapon would you choose? Sai, swords, bow staff?
I used to have a Sai.
Nunchucks.
I used to do nunchucks a lot.
Me too.
I did Taekwondo as well for a good 5 years. But I think Sais are my thing because I absolutely loved throwing them.
Yeah, and spinning them and getting the momentum throw.
Yeah.
So did Raphael, man. He loved those things.
Well, that's why I did it. Raphael all the way, man.
Rookil, do you have any favorite weapons?
Gladius, possibly. It's a fantastic weapon.
A Gladius.
It's a well-designed weapon. Roman Empire, just beautiful thing.
Now I use the most tempered weapon I know.
Your mind?
No.
Oh, what's that?
My huge guns. I have these registered.
Yeah?
Because they're deadly.
You put them on the 110s? You have to borrow them?
Yes.
110s borrow them from you?
The 110s borrow them from me.
Great. Well, everybody, welcome back to WGLNA Season 2 Qualifier number 1. We wanted to cut into that media segment because we are almost ready for the next battle, and that is going to be between Pubstars and High Voltage. And Randall was actually telling us that you know some of the people that are on Pubstars.
Yeah, I was in a Wreak Havoc with Rella for a long time. Excuse me, a long time, and he's a pretty good buddy of mine. We got along really well, and he's just a really silly guy. When I look down at this Pubstars lineup, I see a fantastic team. Every single one of these players is incredibly experienced. I don't think it matters much what tank you put them in. They will all perform exceptionally well. Yankee is one of the leaders of G, that is Gorillas, and they are a very well-renowned Clan Wars team. I talked about them earlier. This is a team with names that almost everyone in competitive World of Tanks should know. All of these names, and I expect them to perform very well. Probably definitely one of the favorites. Their opponents, however, High Voltage, I did recognize some of them as well. I helped out High Voltage for a little while in Clan Wars, did a little bit of training when they were new. They're some pretty solid guys, you know. And I don't know how well they're going to fare against Pubstars, but I do expect them to bring at least a pretty good fight.
You know, you said the Pubstars in the break were Unicum. Could you explain that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Unicum, that kind of comes from, there's a rating system that was first, the efficiency rating, which was, I think, in Russian first, and a mistranslation, or, well, we could say mistranslation, but a translation says Unicum, or unicorn. And so if you are a top 1%er, you are a magical unicorn or unicum, whatever you want to be. And it's just these players are definitely the cream of the crop level players in skill in World of Tanks.
Do you know what a Unicum is?
What is a Unicum?
It is a radio communication system of a type used at small airports.
Yeah, see,
I'm going
that's
to go with
why-
unicorn. I think
Yeah.
unicorn's the proper translation.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for battle number 1 on Ents. Let's get into the battle. And here we go, battle number 1 of Pubstars versus High Voltage. To the south, we have the red team, which is Pubstars. And to the north, the blue team, that will be High Voltage. What do they have for tanks, Andre?
150-100, 2 IS-3s, a T-69, and a 1390 over on the side of High Voltage. Same thing as yesterday, mind you. Other side is 250-100s, 2 IS-3s, and a T-69. That's the more standard thing. Rella taking a big shot already, 956 hit points.
And Randall, on the map itself, we're all seeing a couple shots fired, but this might be a bit of a standstill as we see sometimes on Ensk when they get behind the buildings and no one crosses in between. But what are you seeing to the north side? Could they have a strong push if they decide to commit to the east?
High Voltage is a very interesting strat, and I'm not quite sure what their approach was. I believe what they were trying to do was they predicted Rella spotting on the T-69, and they used Terrible X to spot, and then they had Vendetta just out of view range, or rather farther out of view range, harder to spot, to actually hit Rella, and now it looks like they're actually going to go to east. So at the very beginning, they were prepared for a middle spotter, and now it looks like they're going to go towards the east with that. So a very interesting strat. It looks like they've thought this one out pretty well. I'm impressed with High Voltage's play, but it does look like Pubstars is not going to react much to that, as as High Voltage is doing a very good job of not indicating this movement to their opponents.
Yeah, and trying to hide that information is crucial on any map. And that's why you want to try to place those T1 Cunninghams where it can spot potential causeways, alleyways, flanks, anything that could prove to be a weakness for your current strategy. But locked up inside of the city side is Pubstars. And to the north, there is that east push, at least more east movement coming out of High Voltage. Now, High Voltage could move further into the east, but that one T1 Cunningham to the very south for Pubstars could see that movement, could see that spot, and then the red can move into a flag cap, because that railroad track, very tough to get across, and once you do commit, you're either going south or you're going to have to go back up north in order to get around.
Yep. And with that, what they're doing is they're having Terrible X spot, and he's just making rounds about halfway through the map, just waiting to get spotted, making sure very safely that he will not get caught out and destroyed. He's, as you're noticing he's doing this, he's making nice downhill returns. He's going downhill as he's returning home instead of going uphill and then trying to climb that hill and go towards the enemy. He's downhill and away. This is the proper way to scout in a 1390 when you're trying to play it safely. He's doing a very good job of also using terrain. He's verified now that there's no one all that far out, but he's staying safe. He's not going to, break away from that safe scouting route yet. He's just going to keep going in circles slightly further forward, and it looks like his allies are going to move up as well. Everyone has moved up at least to the F line, so we have that control at least on the east side. That far south, half of the map in the southeast, controlled by High Voltage.
And Terrible X performed so well in the 1390, along with the other teams that we saw. That was the most popular tank when it came to performance yesterday. We'll see if Terrible X can continue that streak. And now those two light tanks to the north are going to spot the red, and the first blood goes down as Terrible X takes down Germaria in that T1.
Yeah, poor guy did not stand a chance, and it does look like there's a T1 fight brewing on the other side of the map. That is
Miserable and Quick 3D.
It's an MS1.
And looks like Wick out of nowhere to come actually make that a really one-sided fight.
Yeah, Miserable's like, thanks, man. So he cruises away with the reload, and Wick was able to get that ram damage. Troy built the other T1 still left alive for the blue team, for High Voltage.
And here's the cap. This is a really intelligent cap, seeing that IS-3 out of position. Do they want to come back? Now, keep in mind, you can just go for the reset if you are in Pubstars' position, and they can just, reset the cap and cap themselves. But it's down to 15 seconds, not a lot of time left to go ahead and reset this cap.
10 seconds left on the clock. Captain No Pants trying to lead the charge. Anything you can see, he's going to unload in the 15100. Does see the 1390 Terrible X, but he goes into a nice Crossfire from the 2 tanks just past that building, and he is able to get the reset, but the red base still under attack. Terrible X trying to line up some more shots. Vendetta and Cruin are taking some hits as well. Captain No Pants able to clean it up. Blue base is not under attack anymore. That is cleaned up by Troy Built against Miserable. 14 seconds left, 13 seconds. Independent in the IS-3 trying to land some hits around the corner. Vendetta on the chase against the 5100, and another reset happens on the map.
Nicely done all over the place. Vendetta now going to clean up Captain No Pants, but he gets flanked by Wick. He's going to go down. Indy also taking that shot out. 451 hit points for Indy as Ekro Ren is going to go ahead and try to engage against him, but I do think he is clipping at this point. Blaze Zero now only down to 225 health, and Indy's going to take the
great
sweeping
shot by
blow.
Independent as he moves back behind cover as a Kren in the T69 tries to swing around to clean that up. Wick is going to maybe clean up racks in the IS-3 versus an autoloader. Independent shoots into Ekren. The T69 is going to have a couple more shots. One more good hit from Independent. Nope, that is going to be it for Independent as Ekren, the T69, is able to clean up what is left. But Rella and Wick get the final kills. Only one tank left alive for the blue team, and that's High Voltage. I am impressed with this play from Pubstars.
You can see the Unicum status really taking to effect. I mean, they are all purple, and if you don't know what I mean, you know, there's this, as Rukil said, there's this rating system that will pop up if you have any mods, and it shows your name as purple, saying you are one of the best top 1% in all of World of Tanks. That is all of Pubstars.
Just really a strong play, and we saw I actually thought Rella was dead for a minute there in the fight, but then I realized he came back. He did a very good job at keeping himself alive. If Rella had not lived towards the end of this battle and preserved his T69, I don't think that we would have seen a victory, well, a very clear victory, or as clear victory by Pubstars. It was very close for a minute. Positionally, you had a huge disadvantage for Pubstars. High Voltage having a great cap pressure, great cap control. It was just so difficult to break.
Trading blows back and forth in those tanks in that brawl mode, but Wick has not taken any damage in his IS-3, and that goes to show picking the right time to engage and the right time to flee. The rest of his teammates were able to stay alive. The shots were aimed towards them and not Wick. Wick was unloading shot after shot and anything that remained. Troy Build gets destroyed. Welcome back to WGLNA Season 2 Qualifier number 1. We just finished battle number 1 of Pubstars versus High Voltage, and Pubstars landed their hits and also performed very well at the IS-3s. Rukil, I'm going to have you break down the top 3, top 4 performers.
Yeah, so if we jump into my screen, I've brought up the post-game stats, and I've actually got it looking up here. I'm looking at Volt, but Independent made 5 for 5 in that IS-3. This is just being efficient. You make your shots land. Now that's 5 for 5. Next we jump down to Wick. Now he did a lot less damage, but he got the kills that mattered. He finished off the right tanks, and that kind of cut down on his actual the potential damage he could have done. He got 6 for 6 shots. That is awesome for an IS-3 to get 6 for 6. Now I jumped down to Rella. He fired 13 times that battle. That's 4 shots per clip. That is a lot of reloads, a lot of action, a lot of keeping his tank alive and just being a nuisance at the proper time. He got 10 shots off. Just very good job there. I jumped down to No Pants finally, and he got 5 for 5. That is fantastic for Pubstars. On the other side, though, we saw Ro16. We have to give a shout out to him. He did a good job with what he had. He did not sadly get a second reload in. That would have been a huge deal to get as a 5100. If he could have just reloaded once, that could have been the fight in a different direction, and so did the T69 for High Voltage. The rest of the team, unfortunately, was not as effective. We saw an IS-3 only get 3 shots off, no matter how accurate he was. The rest of the team, which was Blaze Zero and Terrible X, something happened there that broke down and did not allow them to get the proper shots off to win that fight. This is where we saw the efficiency of players come into play and where they were just so effective with their shots, hitting everything, landing everything, and that's what wins a battle many times, especially when it's so close, like a brawl, when the cap is going like that, and when you have so much pressure to perform. They came out on top like that.
And I would argue that Pubstars had the worst position going into that engagement, having to poke around a corner, knowing that 5 nozzles are going to be pointed at you at all times. That's a really scary thing to have happen. Obviously, if you have all 5 tanks shooting at you, you're instantly dead. But still, Pubstars was able to get the good concave, slowly just approach in and be able to whittle away the health pool of high voltage.
Yeah, and especially the IS-3s holding their position while the 5100s are trying to turn the corner to, land those shots, start that reset. But also, if you have a 5100 that it's at 35% HP up against an IS-3 that's about 50%, that AMX 5100 is fast as it can shoot. If one of those shots bounces, or if he only has 2 remaining shots in his drum and one of them doesn't roll high enough, that's it. That IS-3 gets a really good high strike damage. It could be completely over. And we saw that. It's about 400 HP, maybe about 300. One of the 5100s got lit up by one of the T-69s cruising around the corner. IS-3 took it out, shut it down. And when you can't fire, you can't do damage, and that's what happens in World of Tanks. All right, on Abbey will be the next map. Just waiting for the final countdown to finish in the tank selection. And Abbey, a choice going to be for high voltage. Intriguing choice. Yesterday, it was a choice by some teams that we were trying to figure out why they would choose that map because of the defensive play accessible to the team that was in the lead when they only had the players defensive. Not really the case this time because it's only one battle victory they have to worry against. But Pubstars could play defensively.
Yeah, there are 2 very incredibly defensive places on the western side, both for the north and south position that cover the cap and basically allow you to reset if there are any potential really, really fast cap fast. But it's going to be kind of interesting. Ruka, what's your take on Abbey?
Like you were just saying, that high ground, South Cliff, North Cliff, I brought up the map, and that's a great place to defend your cap from. I would not doubt that we'll see at least one of these teams try and take that high ground and maybe hold there for a little bit of the map while they try and feel out their opponent.
Yeah, we've definitely seen east and west pushes alike on this map, but who knows what we can have for this upcoming match, guys. It's game number 2 between High Voltage and Pubstars. Pubstars up 1-0. Let's head into Abbey.
To the north is the red team. Pubstars are already heading over to the west and to the south. The blue team, it is High Voltage. What do we have for tank selection, Greetor?
150, 100, 2 T-69s, and look at this, 2 WZ-132s on High Voltage's side. On the other side, 5100 and IS-3, 2 C-69s, and a 1390. A little bit more conventional for Abbey. It looks like the red team, who is Pubstars, is moving all the way over to that north, very defensive position as we were talking about before in the pregame.
Look at the spread of High Voltage. They already have that T1 going all the way to the north. It might be a T1 battle heading up to that side. Is it Miserable or Jamaria that's going to be able to fight against it? No, it's the WZ-132s, and they get the kill. And now that can put some serious flag pressure. While the 2 heavy tanks, 1 heavy tank and the 2 mediums will have to shoot into that direction. Rox takes a couple hits right into him.
He's dead.
And there he goes. Completely destroyed, rocked out.
Yeah, Marsh all the way over in, as we were talking about, that north very defensive position. While that was happening, ECR Ren, he was taking a shot now down to 1,100 hit points. So Miserable is doing good proxy spotting in the center of the map, giving shots for his opponents. But when it comes down to it, High Voltage already so incredibly far down. How do you approach on such a defensive team on Abbey?
Cautiously and, well, maybe not so cautiously. Red Paradise taking a couple hits on his side in the 1390. Tracking, or at least trying to track or see the Terrible X. Not in the 1390 this time, in a T69. Shot rings out from Red Paradise. It is not true as it hits the ground just next to Terrible X, and Terrible X could be going for the kill against the T1. Miserable that is still able to scout him. They do see 1 tank still on the field in the red team. And that one does disappear slightly, but Terrible X still in the chase. He gets hit really, really tough, really hard. 1094 out of 1350. It's going to be tough for him to stay in that fight and try to lock in any more shots while the heavy tanks and the medium tanks trying to lock it in. Red Paradise trying to lock in a shot on his side, and it is not a hit. 1390, not the most accurate gun, especially further down range, but Terrible X and a Kren are spotted for the red team. Another shot from Red Paradise, but swing and a miss.
He's fired enough shots. He's got to be reloading by now. I haven't been able to count, but he's fired a lot.
At least 4.
And it would be an appropriate time, I'd say, right now for him to reload, maybe try and find that there's another T1 that we know about. It's either that is quick death. He's got to be somewhere, you know, in the south. At least that's what I'd be thinking if I were Pubstars. I'd be saying there's probably a T1 to my south somewhere waiting for someone to come there. So if I'm the 1390, why don't I just, you know, run over there and find that guy and just ram him while I've got a minute?
I can't believe I didn't realize it was quick death instead of quick thirth.
Smooth.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Oh, shots going out again from that 1390. That onto.
Have they
How
spotted?
do you say that? ECR Ren?
A Kren? I'm pronouncing it a Kren. I'll have to talk to him to find out if he's able to move on in the qualifiers or participates in qualifier number 2. Red Paradise, name I can pronounce, is still able to spot Terrible X because of Mizrael's placement in the T1. Holding down the northwestern side. Heavy tanks and 2 medium tanks. Another medium heading to the side of Red Paradise. See if he can try to lock in some shots in the T69. Saying, hey man, you're not able to hit. You're not able to hit from way across from here. Well, now something has been able to hit Terrible X, and he is getting lit up. IS3 Marsh 166 could be getting that final kill, but the tanks do disappear again. It's Miserable is gone.
It's such a continuous thing. I don't know how they're consistently able to fire against these guys. When, yes, they do have scouts on them, but it's just so thin. Like, they're always in the right position at the right times. Pubstars, unreal.
This is an example of what exactly you should be doing with your T1s. This is what I've talked about before. When you have a T1, you make use of it. When it's spotting something or when it's going to die, it better die, and there better be some health traded. A tank better go down, something like that. We're seeing health damage go out on Ikren and on Terrible X that adds up to a T69. So when the fight actually happens, if it does, and we don't actually see, you know, just some kind of amazing push by Pubstars, which just finally breaks the back of this team, it's these T1s that are doing such a fantastic job.
Red Paradise able to spot that MS1 just around the corner, but no big tanks on the field have been spotted for the red team against the blue side. But this one light tank, this MS1, can see this T69 and 1390 coming right around the corner here.
He did not see the T69. It's going to be a surprise as he shows up right there.
Well, he saw him now.
Oh, yeah.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Move along, says Rella, as he continues to follow Red Paradise. The battle buddies on the west side of the map.
Always have a battle buddy.
That's right.
I mean, they could have come around that corner, and we could have had the WZ-132 and the 5100 have come all the way around the map and just been there covering that T1. Very smart, very safe move to move in there with a friend. So, however, of course, you can see on. If we jump to my screen, we see Vendetta and Troy Built have actually stayed over in the northeast and aren't actually able to do all that much right now. They can't approach across this open ground. They will get spotted, and looks like No Pants got spotted. In return, I don't think Vendetta has been spotted. He's sitting here. He's got some nice bush cover, actually, and he only needs to spot with the top of his tank, and the rest of it is hidden in that little defilade, so he's doing a great job of spotting the enemy 5100 while staying in cover himself. Unfortunately, I don't think that High Voltage is in any kind of position to take advantage of this spotting.
No, they're not, especially because of the placement of March 166, Captain No Pants. Captain No Pants actually moving a little bit further north. He is able to see Vendetta 6-8. He gets hit in the track, and his fuel tank is ruptured. Track gets hit again. He's able to repair it. 515 at 1400. Vendetta the 5100 across the way, just unloading on Captain No Pants. One more shot, and he will go down. Will Vendetta move across the hill?
He will not. He won't.
He won't. He won't
I think
fully
he's
commit.
clipping right now.
No, he's very smart. He's taking that free damage he's getting, evening up the odds, and he's not going to get greedy and not going to waste his own health for something which probably wouldn't have worked out anyway. It's such a long distance. There's no way you're going to be able to get to your enemies safely and actually attack them. There's too many opponents.
Oh, big fight going on, and EC Ren, he's not in a good position. 118 hit points left with those IS-3s and that single T-69. Now rounding the bend, Rella trying to get a shot on him, but it looks like EC Ren is going to get into a position where he doesn't, well, I shouldn't say doesn't have to worry, but he has to keep running.
Starsky and Hutch, a.k.a. Rella, and Red Paradise now trying to move across the way here. but they are going to stop. Captain No Pants to the north is holding down against that flag cap. Does he have enough HP, though, to try to get a reset? Nope. Vendetta 68 gets shot from across the way. 978 out of 1,400 versus 229 out of 1,400. Vendetta and the other 5,100 trying to line up those hits against Captain No Pants and gets the kill. Cleans up the north as the rest of the red tanks are in the middle of the field.
Oh, and there goes the Rocks that is Terrible X in his T69 as they are pinned, and they're just going to get taken apart. Independent pinning them in position, and then Marsh and Rella coming around the sides. Perfect surround there. Nothing they could have done to get out of that alive. Just very unfortunate.
Blaze Zero unloading, but a lot of pop marks into the ground as Red Paradise cleans up the T1. 32-16. Double the tier points on the field in favor of the leader, Independent, and the rest of his team, which is Pubstars.
They go for cap. That's a smart thing to do since a WZ-132 and a 5,100 are not going to be able to contest anything. It's perfectly screened. They can't even get on cap to... No, he leaves cap.
Nope,
Okay.
Red Paradise left.
He wants to win.
They want the win.
That's because they finally found their opponent. I don't think Pubstars was quite sure where High Voltage had run off to, and they didn't want to waste time, running around the map trying to find those last few guys. So it looks like after they find them, it's just time to get those final few delicious kills.
They want them to make them pay for those repair costs. Rella and Marsh 166 leading the charge. Marsh gets hit on the side. Another hit, 306, but Rella is able to move up because of it as they focus fire Marsh in the IS-3. WC-132, Troy built top of the cliff. T-69 from Independent approaching from the other side as Rella takes to the east side of the approach up into the flag cap. Troy Built, only one left alive. He's saying, come and get me, guys.
Oh.
You're going to fight for it. Troy Built taking a shot from Independent. Independent lining up. One more hit, 204 HP. Oh, Troy Built misses.
His gunner's dead. He didn't, and so his turret was traversing so much slower that threw off his shot. Probably didn't expect that.
Nope, and when you're in that type of field, that can happen. Rella takes down Troy Built, and Pubstars takes a battle victory. We'll talk more about their placement and awesome strategy after this. Welcome back to WGLNA Season 2 Qualifier number 1. We just saw battle number 2 go in favor of Pubstars, and we're going to find out what's going to happen in battle number 3 if they could sweep the series. Greetorb, your thoughts on that battle?
It was, well, as soon as they lose the WZ-132, it's basically over. We were talking about this a little bit in the break, but after that, it's so hard to come back on Abby. There's just so many different options once you're down a whole Tier 8 tank. And for a team like Pubstars, they're not going to let that up. They're just going to continue drilling in the advantage until they have the overall win. They even were able to cap it out, and they were like, nope, we want the tank kills.
Yeah, we want it. We want them to pay for it. But Rookhill, the WZ-132 fallen, how did that fall? What was the positioning of the red team?
So I want to detail first how the opening move went for High Voltage. So as we see in the right side of the screen here, I'm just drawing these arrows. 2 WZ-132s just blitzing right up to the northeast. Very interesting strat, very bold move. Actually bold, just really interesting play. I was kind of impressed to see if it would work. Definitely wanted to see it work. It would have been very cool to see on Abby, light tanks working like that. Unfortunately, when they started going on up there, they ran into a T1. But guess what? When they started taking out that T1, there was perfect cover fire on him from the North Cliff. And those shots, they all rang true. And we had a WZ-132 go down very quickly. That's 8 whole points for 1. And that is a huge lead that we saw for Pubstars. Now, following that, guys, we had something else happen. We had another T1. And that is a T1 in D5. That T1 in D5, the positioning there was so fantastic because Red Paradise had shots that on the upper road here in the Abbey, whilst the allies from the North Cliff got shots in when one of the T-69s actually got bold enough to come all the way in and try and kill that T1. So we had both T1s when they died for a lot. They died for almost a whole tank's worth of damage, which set, it was
around 3K damage from those 2 T1s.
Wow, that is
3K damage.
That's intense.
Very intense indeed. What else is going to be intense is what's going to happen on Himmelsdorf, which is going to be the next map. I talked about this yesterday. Hill play was very commonplace at the beginning of the Season 1. then it started to get more tricky. We hardly ever saw Hill play towards the end of Season 1, at least at the group stage. Season 2, that's mostly what you've seen so far, at least for the qualifiers. The advantages of the Hill play are astronomical if the rest of the team is completely open down those alleyways. But for the most part, that's not really the case. And we've seen some division of sending maybe 1 or 2, maybe even 3 heavy tanks up to the hill and reassessing if they can get a couple HP shots, HP advantage shots, and then going down the other way and defending against Tank Alley or defending against the west side. But it takes forever to get up there. And I actually would probably think both these teams are going to play more to the western section.
We'll see. I mean, with Pubstars, honestly, I think they feel so confident right now that they can do anything that they want and still come out on top. They've been good in brawling. They've been good at just covering their T1s, making sure they're backed up at all times. This is great fundamental play. We haven't even seen any interesting strategies coming out of them because they haven't needed to use any of those.
Let's jump into the game. It's Himmelsdorf, battle number 3 of Pubstars versus High Voltage. To the south, we have the red team, which is Pubstars. And to the north, the blue team, High Voltage. What do we have for tanks, Greetorp?
It is a 5100, 2 IS-3, a T69, and a 1390 yet again for High Voltage. On the other side, we have the more conventional 2 IS-3s, 2 T69s. Actually, that's not too conventional. It's usually 2 5100s, but it's only 1 5100 this time. I'm not a fan at all of that 1390.
Yeah, it's a really strange tank to bring, and I definitely agree with you on that. It's going to be hard to make it work, I think. But if they can make it work, you know, I want to see how they do it. It's going to have to be incredibly flexible. This 1390 is going to have to skirmish a ton in order to make his hit points pay for what it's worth. I mean, he's going to have to get 2 or 3 shots off for every hit that he will take.
Well, if there's anyone that can make it work, it's Terrible X.
Yeah.
Because he is a fantastic 1390 player from what we have seen so far.
And I do want to say, if Terrible X goes one-on-one with, let's say, a T69, the 1390 has like a 50-50 chance of killing the T69 in just 1 round.
7 against a Kren. Shots fired on both sides. But Terrible X, the
Whoa.
1390, could he clean up? No, there's Rella.
And Captain No Pants there. He's going to go down.
Wow. That was a beautiful play from Pubstars, baiting him out with 7 as the rest of those tanks cruise into the top. They thought maybe it's just 1. I'll get a couple shots on it. Terrible X chose poorly coming around that corner. But
it comes down to it. I mean, that is the strategy that you're doing. You're kind of trying to escalate the hill. Trying to, you bring 1 tank, I'm going to bring 2 tanks.
Yes, of course.
Of course, all 5 tanks are all the way up on that hill, so High Voltage just getting the unlucky end of that stick.
Yeah, I kind of wish that he circled around to the other side of the castle instead of holding the line with the other tank that was taking a lot of damage around those rubble ruins, because you have a little bit more of an isolated escape path, a bottleneck effect, if you will, with all those tanks trying to go on the other side of the castle. Maybe you could escape. A lot of maybes, though. Just very unfortunate for Terrible X and the red base under attack. Zevin is going to go ahead and head to the south side where the rest of his team tries to deal with the flag cap. No, 2 going down the alleyway.
There's only 20 seconds left. And you know what, Clutch? I actually feel like all the other red players are not in position to deny this cap. 10 seconds left, and can they get into position to stop this cap?
It's going to be really tight.
Fast as he can.
I don't think so. 3 seconds left.
Rella gets the shot.
Are you kidding me?
If one person can do it, it's Rella in the T69. He gets some hits on his side as well, but here comes 7 in the AMX 5100. Turning the corner against Ra-X, Blaze 0 and Vendetta 68. I'm sure they're as surprised as we are, as Wick in the IS-3 is going to straight up brawl against the remaining forces. They're able to clean up 1 of the tanks. Blaze 0 taking some shots in the front. The IS-3 on the other side. Vendetta 68 being target fired by 7. And it's going to be an HP share program until Wick is able to get the final kill against Vendetta. Blaze 0 trying to block his shot, but 7 gets the final hit. Blaze 0, 362 HP against 324. Last 3 hits, Independent gets a kill against Blaze 0. And that does it. Pubstars are your victors. Seconds away from that being a cap.
I'm of the opinion that if those IS-3s were able to hide a little bit more, tuck inside the other tanks, that wouldn't have been a reset. That would have been, we're going into game number 4. But I'm pretty sure that T-69 didn't even see them. He just blind fired.
That is totally possible that he just fired right then. You know, Rella could do that. I'd see him as one of those people that might think of it. I'd had to ask him myself if he actually saw those tanks. Because for us watching, it looked like he showed up and fired immediately.
Yes.
I don't think he stopped. I don't think he stopped
no,
moving. He
no.
just fired on the move.
Well, the second he came around that corner, he was just like, I don't care. There's tanks here. I know there's tanks here. I'm just going to let one go.
And I know High Voltage did not see him coming in. It was the shot, and then he was spotted. So that really speaks to me that T-69 play by Rella was just a blind shot, but that's this type of stuff. I mean, you might as well shoot out and just pray to God you hit.
Well, I think it's that sixth sense, if you will, not just the skill for your crew and the tanks, but everything comes together in that one moment.
That's
and you
right.
line up that shot, and you don't even have to think. It's a feeling. You press the mouse button, you fire, and you are able to get the reset, which went down 46 capture points from that one hit. That was huge, cutting it in half, and very impressive.
You know, I wouldn't even be surprised. I don't think he did, but it would be awesome if he loaded an HE round for that too, because there's no way, right? Like, you can't react.
You wouldn't bring an HE round on a T-69. It would be cool. It would be so cool if you brought in a T-69 just like, I'm going to bring this for when it's time to stop
now,
cap.
Rookil, can you please
weird.
explain that to people that maybe are learning World of Tanks, why you'd want to bring an HE round in that type of scenario?
Okay.
If you know, other scenarios,
like, not a T-69 generally, but if you were like an IS-3, I definitely bring HE rounds when I'm in like a T-32 or an IS-3. If a game goes long, like you're shooting at long range and you can't pen some guy because he's in hull down or he has a perfect reverse angle or something, you can load an HE round and it explodes on the outside, like kind of like a grenade, a very large, very dangerous grenade, and more dangerous grenade relatively, and anyway. And with that, you can do damage even without penetrating. It can be a little bit of damage, but if you hit the right spot, you can do quite a lot of HE damage. With cap, it doesn't matter how much damage you deal. You have to deal at least just a point of damage. I believe, I'm not sure if it's still this way, but you used to be able to just break a track and it would just reset cap. But I don't know if nowadays it doesn't work that way. There was a change sometime with that, but HE can be used to stop cap. Doesn't matter how much damage you do. Any damage counts for stopping cap, and you can damage more than one enemy if they're really clustered together, which could add up to a lot of defense points. That is exactly why you would bring an HE round.
Thanks, Randall. And it makes sense now that you say it.
Yeah.
Now I feel like an idiot for saying bring HE rounds in a T-69 because...
If I was in a T-32 and that was happening, I maybe would load an HE round, but I honestly would.
But you're looking at like a 25-second cooldown for the HE round if you want to switch over.
Well,
it just doesn't make sense to do that.
It would be awesome if you could bring an HE round and load one HE round in a clip of 4, but you can't. So
that'd be so sick, right?
Yeah.
Like you just click and say, I only want one round, 6 seconds.
Yeah, or you like
it's got
before
an orange
the
symbol instead of green.
Yeah, or like before the game, you're like, I want a clip of 1 HE, 1 heat, 1 AP, 1 heat, just so you have like the perfect rounds that you want, just for the perfect situation.
Russian roulette too. You don't know. Maybe it doesn't load in the UI. You don't know which one you're firing.
Yeah.
Hopefully this one's the right one.
That would make autoloaders the most overpowered.
That would be incredibly imbalanced.
Right? Like they could be autoloaders or they could be continuous fire. So I guess it makes sense why they don't do that.
Well, I also. APCR rounds is enough for me for a lot of tanks. But I also want to say thank you to High Voltage. You guys played great, especially last night. And today you were able to try to hold your own against Pubstars, a very experienced team, a team that Rookil has played with, some of the team members. So make sure to sign up for Qualifier number 2, and best of luck to you guys in the future. And keep practicing. They have a lot of serious potential, and I feel that they can be a serious contender in WGLNA.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the brackets right now and where exactly Pubstars and High Voltage were. They're at the top of the bracket, as I was saying, and Pubstars will match up against Cazadores, one of the lower performing teams in WGLNA, but of course it wasn't the Cazadores that we normally knew, right? Like, I think Cazadores definitely have restructured a lot. They lost a lot of guys. I saw Onizuka on Hunter X Hunter. I also saw a couple of the other guys.
I got to clarify. Last night, they talked to me a little bit, and they said it wasn't really like they lost guys. It's more like the second iteration of Cazadores. It's like, you know, they have a team, a main team, but a few other guys are like, hey, let's make a second team and let's grow. Kind of like what you've seen with Simp. You've seen a second and third team grow out because people just want to start their own team, or they want to find some new guys or fresh blood, or just see a different dynamic. And Hunter x Hunter is not like some kind of breakaway. It's just like it's a new Cazadores team, a bunch of really cool guys also in the Cazadores clan who are here to prove that they have what it takes.
Well, over on the other side of the bracket, right across from the Cazadores and High Voltage, you have Ermagerd Kernavern waiting for the winner of Super Amigos or Super Amigos and Refuse to Die. This will be our next match for tonight, match number 3. Now, Refuse to Die. You know, I talked to a bag of kittens earlier, and he was saying, yes, we have prepared a lot for this, but we don't think we're necessarily the big favorite going into this. Still, they have turned a couple of heads, but for them to move on, they have to beat Super Amigos and also Ermagerd Kernavern, then to go on most likely Pubstars, or the winner of Pubstars versus Cazadores. But after watching Pubstars, you know, it was very clear that they're a lot better than High Voltage. But High Voltage was very clearly a lot better than their opponents yesterday. So it kind of makes me a little bit scared. Pubstars making High Voltage look really, really silly, going 3-0 against them, and still looking like they could do so much more.
We're going to have to find out what's going to happen with the rest of these teams tonight. And then even tomorrow, I'm looking forward to seeing Pubstars versus Cazadores. You know, possibly could be the first match of the night tomorrow night. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Tomorrow we'll be going live at 5 o'clock, just like we've been going live all this week. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. We'll be getting the next battle underway, the next match underway with Refuse to Die versus Super Amigos. Don't go anywhere. You're watching WGLNA.